Well, since the COVID-19 lockdown became since the COVID-19 lockdown became full scale globally, students around the world have had to discontinue the conventional system of learning. And according to UNESCO, about 1.5 billion students at various levels are said to be at home due to the health measures put in place to prevent the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. For persons with disability, which all over the world they constitute 2% of the world population, and it is said that disabilities prevalence of disability is common in low and middle income countries globally. According to the National Populations Commission in Nigeria, 19 million Nigerians are said to be living with disabilities. And in Africa, a report says that about 25% of all persons living with disabilities in Africa are from Nigeria. Before COVID-19, there have been various concerns about persons living with disabilities vis-a-vis their education. In the past 2 months, it is believed that the situation might have worsened as the challenge of giving access to education to other children also is a matter of concern to various stakeholders. How can these individuals that we're talking about, who appropriately are also called persons with special needs, have access to educational opportunities like their peers? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Education Discourse. I am Abdulsalam Amo, and to help us understand this situation and chart a way to help us understand the situation and chart a way forward, we are being joined by a team of panelists that are specialists in this area in one way or another. From the Federal College of Education, from the Federal College of Education Special, Oyo, we are joined by Professor Usman, Professor Kamoru Usman. Professor Usman is the Provost of the Federal College of Education Special, Oyo. We also have with us, Miss Dotun Akande. Mrs. Akande is the founder of Practice Speech and Language Center rather, in Lagos, Nigeria. And then from the University of Lagos, we have Miss Yetunde Banjo. Ms. Banjo is a student at the University of Lagos, and she's a person with special needs. The trio will be joining us as we go on with this conversation. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us. So we'll be starting with Prof, sir. Those people have described special education in different ways. What is special about special education? And what are the things that it encompasses?
Really, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In our society, we have people with one disability or the other. And according to our national policy on education, education is for everybody. And it doesn't matter your religion, social affiliation, or any form of disability you have. Everybody ought to be in school. So this group of people needs some special attention. And because of the nature of their nature, so there's this type of facilities put in place for them to be able to carry them along in school. And these are the group of people we describe as people with special needs. And in my college, we are responsible for training of the teachers that will take care of these people with special needs. In my college, we have 8 areas of people living with disability. And when you talk of people living with disability and people with special needs, maybe they look the same, but they are not exactly the same. There are people living with disability, but not only those group of people that need special that are of special needs in education. For instance, people that are gifted, talented and gifted, they belong to this group, and that is why we cannot classify them with special needs. In my time, we have eight areas of people that are area of special needs education. These we have people with hearing impairment, that is people that that people would describe as deaf or dumb. Then we have people with visually impairment, visual impaired people, that is people that people would describe as blind, even though we don't call them blind. Then we have people with learning, intellectual disability. In the past, they call them, memory retarded or something like that. We don't call them memory retarded, but we call them intellectual disability. Then you have people with a physical and mental, physical and X impaired. That is people that have some, disability, people that do not write very well, or people that have other form of physical deformation. But we have people that we have medical rehab section. This medical rehab session takes care of what I call people with one misfortune or the other. That is, if you become blind so sudden, you understand, you can be rehabilitated. Or if you have accident and you become amputated, either by any form. So these people can be rehabilitated. We have a rehab unit or rehabilitation education. Then we have people with communication disorder. That is people that need to be tuned. Hello, hello.
Can
We
hear
are
you,
with
sir.
you, sir.
So the people with communication, that is people that like stammerers, the people that need to be helped in a speech, wise. So these are the area we have been training teachers, for the last 44 or 45 years in my college.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to Mrs. Akande. What are the things that just in that line, but not but differently in the sense of how do I identify a person with disability?
Thank you very much. Prof has said most of it, not all of it. My area is in the area of intellectual disability. I particular strength is in the area of children with autism, and like we know, there are comorbidities, disability. Somebody can have a physical disability and also have visual impairment. Somebody can have hearing loss and also have intellectual disability. So the way our path crosses is comorbidities that lies in the different disabilities. That's why you really have to know every kind of disability, and you have to train to know a lot of people, a lot of the different disabilities. When we started at the school, we got a lot of our staff from the Federal College of Education, or your particular, because they already had a prior knowledge of what disability is. Just had to build area of autism, because at that time autism was relatively new around us in Nigeria. We had to retrain to teach some of the certain skills that were needed. But child, anybody can become somebody with disability. Prof said it. You can have an accident. You can have a challenge with speech at any point in time due to stroke. You can have a challenge with your physicals due to whatever. So there are comorbidities that we must always look at, and all these people need rehabilitation, no matter the age, no matter the disability, no matter the special needs, no matter the environment, no matter the class, no matter the race. Everybody needs some form of accommodations. Accommodations need to be put in place.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. And Miss Banjo, we understand that during this period, a lot of persons with disability, even other people have had to stay away from their various places of endeavor, whether they're in schools or at home or at work rather. So for persons with disabilities, how, as a person with disability, how has the lockdown affected you?
Okay. The lockdown has really affected me in different kind of ways. In terms of one, the because of the social distance. So sometimes when we want to go out, when the lockdown has been eased, when I go out sometimes, people, even when the lockdown is not being on, the people, so there are some that they just they feel reluctant to assist a visually impaired person. But now that the lockdown has brought so many, the COVID-19 has brought so many things, you know, they find it difficult to help you. As a visually impaired person, you will need direction or you need someone to lead you to a particular place. And then you just stand there and start asking, please assist me to cross the road. And some they will not want to hold you or anything like that. So sometimes it's a bit depressing, but there are times I come across people that are more compassionate and they go any length just to assist you.
Yes. Thank you. So I have my colleague here. She will introduce herself. I don't know.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm
Hello.
very confident. How can
I
you?
hear you, sir.
Yeah,
Hello.
welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Prof is back. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir. The next question is about learning. How do we improve learning outcomes for persons with special needs? Prof, sir.
Really, it takes 3 times the cost of educating a normal person to educate somebody with special needs. For instance, in a class where you have people with hearing care, you must have somebody that have the skill of sign language interpreter. There must be an interpreter in such a class. Whereas in a normal class, just one lecture and not the rest. The people with visually impaired, some of them are so skillful in braille reading and writing. So you have to make provision for some of these gadgets in a normal day. Not to talk of this era of COVID-19, whereby you have to go digital and all the rest. So it's so expensive training people with special need when you compare their education to that of people that are normal, that is the normal environment. But in my college, we are so endowed that the college is dedicated to the service of people with special need. We have a lot of these facilities on ground. Even I can boldly say that I can work of what we have on ground, and 80% of the teachers of
Prof,
special disability in
Prof,
Nigeria were trained by my college. So,
sir,
hello.
you say you can only say that what? You can only say
No,
what?
I say I can boast of saying that. Are you hearing me?
Yes. Again.
Yes, now, yes. Yes.
I said no university in Nigeria has up to 10% of what my facility that my college has for people with special needs. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think I can use that your school is the main institution that trains people with special needs across Nigeria. That's what you are saying. Or as you were saying it, the network was breaking. Is obviously that's what's going on there. So Prof will be back later on. I hope so. Confidence.
Yes, I'm here.
You ask your question.
Okay, I'd like to ask, how has this pandemic affected special education, considering that on the norm, it's not so convenient as educating normal people, like people without disability in whatsoever form. So, being that we are in these strange times, this challenging time, how has it affected special education?
Ms. Akande.
Okay, it's been tough, especially with the use of face mask, nose mask, and all these social distancing. Special education, we are very physical. So everything, most of the things we do is physical. And then now you have to do social distancing with the special needs individual. It's very difficult. And it's even more difficult for the parents because all of a sudden the parents have to become the teachers. They're not used to it. They are used to taking the child or the adults to the place of learning, and then the person coming back home the whole at the end of the day. So for them, it's a new norm. But for me, I feel it's actually a good norm because many parents don't even know their children with special needs. They are used to taking them to one place or the other for intervention. They've now had to become the primary source of intervention for that individual. And what that will do is it will give them the opportunity to learn how this individual learns. It gives them the opportunity to be able to cope. But that also would come with some training. So what we've done on our part is to open a WhatsApp group, a training support group for parents. So they can come in there and ask their questions. They can say, oh, this is what I'm seeing with my child with cerebral palsy, my child with Down syndrome, my child with physical disability. How do I manage this child in this environment? And then we bring people that are specialists in that area to answer those questions so that we support them during this pandemic. What COVID has done is that it has helped many of them to know more about the disability or the challenge their children are facing, and they've had no choice but to sit back and then manage that child in the home environment. It's giving some of them the opportunity to teach life skills. It's not only education that we're looking at. We're looking at life skills. What happens after they leave school? Can the person cook on his own? Can the person lay the bed? Can the person take care of his own environment? So we are building the child with disability for independence, which should be the end goal at any point in time for anybody that has any form of disability. So that's how we've been able to. It's been tough for us. We've been able to. We had to go via internet. We had to go on Zoom into the homes to support these people. So we created Zoom links, and we started to get the parents to work with the children using our own skills and teaching them the basic skills that they have to. Many people don't have Zoom. Even many parents don't have WhatsApp. We had to resort to calling them one on one and finding out what the challenges are and then supporting them in the need. The government hasn't done well with COVID-19 and families at this time. I must say that they've not done well at all to support these families. They're all struggling, and this is a time for them to really come in and show compassion. You heard what my sister said, Miss Banjo, that she needed help to cross the road. Compassion. This is a time of kindness. This is a time of compassion. This is a time of empathy. So that's what we need to build into our systems to be able to support people living with disability at this time.
So, Miss Banjo, can you hear me? Miss Banjo? Okay, we will come back to her later. It appears that she can't hear us now. So, Prof, so how can we reduce
Yes, sir.
how do we reduce discrimination against persons living with disabilities?
I think we need to appeal to the psychology of our people. That especially the issue of disability. There is a popular saying in my college that every able is temporarily able, because it can happen to anybody at any time. So you have to be fairly compassionate when you see, these people, and you don't need to, sympathize with them, sort of, but they need that empathy to enable them to probably live on with the type of, life they find themselves. So really, we just need to appeal to the psychology of our people, that these people are just special, and they need a little support to be able to carry on. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's just my submission.
I also feel that we need to do a lot of awareness programs. We need to always be creative in teaching some of the skills that can happen in the community. For instance, we are very religious in this part of the world. I mean, we need to take some of this awareness to the churches to encourage them to allow these children in when they are, allow them in when they are in their places of worship, and accommodation should be put in place to support them in that place of worship. Not that when the individual there's no ramp, the person has to climb a flight of stairs to come into the place of worship. So we start from our community to build some form of awareness programs that people need to have. Nigerians are kind, honestly, but some of them are just don't understand. So if you build some form of understanding into this form of disability, people with disability, with the typical people, that these people with disability, they are human beings and they can become anything that they want to become, depending on how exposed they are at a very young age and the family structure that they came out from. If they are out from a structure that says that, oh, you can really do well, and they get that support to really do well, the mentality of that person with disability will change from somebody that is coming from an environment, a family support where they are saying you are useless. I don't even know why I had you. I don't even know. So the psychology surrounding the person with disability must be right, and it can change. It could be you and I that will change it at any point in time. So we need a lot of awareness programs, and awareness is very expensive. And I say it once again, government has not done it.
So,
Yes.
we'll come back to what government has done, what government has not done. Okay, let's just go that straight away. The government law that clearly prohibits discrimination against persons with disabilities. This law has been in place since 2018, as I can
Okay.
and it has been passed into law. And late last year, it clocked 1 year after it was passed and signed into law. Up till now, all the provisions of the law have not been put in place. I know of that. There's supposed to be a commission, a national commission against that would be fighting against the discrimination. As we're fighting for against discrimination against persons living with disabilities. That commission has not been established. Nothing has been constituted, and even at the 1 year commemoration, a presidential aide was telling the persons with disability to lobby the Nigerian government. The presidential aide was telling the persons with disabilities at that 1 year anniversary of the signing of the law last December, was telling them that they should lobby the Nigerian government. Among provisions of the law include that every building that's been built in the next 5 years, that's from the time the law was passed, every building must take care of persons with disabilities, and every organization that is employing workers must ensure that they give certain percentage, I can't remember the percentage now, certain percentage of their workforce must be persons with disabilities. It also takes care of various inclusion measures that are globally recognized. And as many of us already know, Nigeria is a signatory to the United Nations Charter on on the prohibition of discrimination against persons with disability. So these are just some of the things that we know of. But what again? We can't entirely say government is not doing anything. About some billions, I think 8 billion, they said 8 billion naira was expended on special schools, special education schools across Nigeria and other things like that. We'll come back to that. Let me just go to Professor Usman. He's much familiar with whatever government is doing. Perhaps he will have a contrary view to what I've just said, and what Ms. Akande just observed now. Prof, sir,
Mhm.
in what ways has government been supporting persons with disabilities?
Well, the issue of implementation of that, I'm a teacher colleges in Nigeria, federal colleges in Nigeria. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, we are.
Can you hear me?
We can hear,
Okay.
can hear
We
you.
have 21 federal colleges of education in Nigeria,
22.
and 8 are technical, 12 are conventional. Only one is only one is for special needs education. And for your, for your information, they do not treat us specially at all, as per
The network at its end is somehow. Perhaps he will join us later, and by that time I hope I will be able to answer the question. Let me
is to
see.
tell you that
Prof, sir, the network at its end is bad, so it appears that you will not be able to respond to this, to that. You will not be able to react to that now. So
hello,
whenever he's back, we will add him again.
hello.
Prof, sir, we've not been hearing what you've been saying since. Start all over.
Can
We
you
couldn't
hear me now?
yes, sir.
I'm saying there are 21 federal colleges of education in Nigeria. 8 are technical, 12 are conventional. Only one is for the special needs education. And for your information, they do not treat us specially at all. It is whatever that is given to other 20 that is given to us, as per the federal, funding of the colleges. So this is to say that, a lot, little or nothing is being given to this, the people with special need. The people with special needs. But in our college, there are a lot of positions
Prof, sir,
to
Prof,
take
before
care
you
of
before we continue, sir.
the development of.
Prof, sir, before you continue, I would suggest that you move to a place where the network coverage is better. If you can hear me, I would suggest that you move to a place where the network coverage is better. As you were speaking, most of what you were saying we could not hear. Most of what you were saying we could not hear it because of the poor network coverage at your side. Yeah. Perhaps you should just kindly move to another place where the network is better, and you will be able to answer the question again. So, while Prof is doing that, I would like confidence to ask a question.
With all of the provisions that have been made for people living with people with disabilities, how do we measure the success of everything we just listed out? That they are trying to train their parents to assist them, and then some provisions have been made to make learning continue for them, even though it is difficult. How do we measure the outcome? Can we say that all of this are successful? Is this something that we should keep on doing, or what?
It's easy to measure some of the successes of this. The first
Okay.
challenge, as you can see, is network. You can see how we are not seeing Prof, we're not hearing Prof
Yes.
at that end as well. The second challenge is that at the first instance, the child with special needs is not even sit still for the parents to be able to work with the child. They are not used to the parents or the mom and the dad being the person on the other end supporting them in their special education needs. So we would have to do a trial and error. What we did was that we first of all did a training for parents. We did a call, and then we put a call out. Something you are willing to do? Are you willing to? It's expensive. They have to buy data to support this project. So you have to ask them, are you even willing to come on to say, okay, I want to do this. It's something I'm willing to give my time and my resources to do. And after that, we collated the results from the poll. And then we set out to do it. Whether parents were willing to do it or not is something we have to do because that's where the world is going into. That's where COVID-19 has taken us. We are now moving into the era of technology, and we don't want to be left behind, and we don't want our children with special needs to be. So what we found out is that after repeated sessions with the children began to adapt to this, seeing their teachers every time they come on in the morning, every time they ask to do exercise. So they began to be excited and be curious about, oh, what is going on here? And then we did various activities. We did video of them planting maybe beans or something. So it wasn't all educational. We added some life skills to it. And at the end of every week, we send out another questionnaire to let them tell us, is this something you are willing to continue? Checking for responses and successes is easy and simple. Just put out a poll out there and find out how it's been with the children. Some of the parents say, this is too much for me. I'm seriously waiting for the school to open. So I'm seriously waiting for the school to resume. So, for them, it's something that it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot on the family, but it's easy for you to take a poll. And at the end of every month, for instance, this is the end of our first month of having Zoom meeting. We are doing our reports, finding out how did the child do? How did we do? It's not only the child that we're going to now do an assessment of. You need to assess yourself too. How are you able to deliver, the task at hand to the child via Zoom? Mind you, when you go in with technology, it's different from when you go in with physical. There's so much you cannot do on the other end of technology. So you have to be able to put yourself in that position to train, to even look at your service delivery. Have you been successful in the delivery of the service? How has it impacted the ability of the child to assimilate what you are trying to teach? So these are some of the things that we need to do. That is why I keep saying at every point in time, the support given to families with special needs is very, very minimal. It's not always about palliative. It's about going a step further to equip organizations. Look at a prof. It's telling you that whatever is given to all the other institutions, their own is not different. Meanwhile, they spend 3 times more. He's right. We spend 3 times more to teach our children with special needs than the typical child. Because what it means is that you really have to get the child's attention first before you break the task into pieces and then teach one step at a time. You use a funnel approach to teach it. Teach one step at a time. You keep going up or you keep coming down, whichever step you are trying to teach, depending on what kind of chaining you want. Is it forward or backward? You have to look at it and weigh it. What am I trying to do? Break it down. It takes the special needs child sometimes 5 times longer to assimilate what you're trying to teach than the typical child. So it's a very expensive venture. And I think we have the short end of the stick during this COVID-19 period.
All right. So Miss Banjo is back. Hello, Miss Banjo.
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Better. Welcome back. So,
Thank you.
as from your experience over the years, how has learning been? How have you been coping with learning with technology in the past?
Okay, in school, right?
Yes, yes,
Hello.
yes. Hello, in school.
Okay. Um. Okay. Learning with technology has been fantastic because though majorly I use my tape recorder to record in class, and sometimes I make use of my phone recorder. I make use of my phone recorder to record. Um, to do my exams and all that, I have to make use of a laptop which has a screen reader, JAWS, that's Job Access with Speech, that has been installed on it. So it has made it more easier for me to understand things and to learn things well. It's easier for me to go on to the internet to search for things, even when we are being taught in the class, in the forums, in the forwards, in the classroom. And I have to go over on the internet to do some research doing, maybe we are given an assignment or other things like that. So technology in school with in concerning academics has made it very easy for we visually impaired person.
Okay, that's good. So, Prof is back. Prof, sir, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, just that the latency is still there. You were saying something earlier about what government has been doing. You already made mention of the fact that every college of education is treated equally. I would like you to say more about
Yes, sir.
what government is doing to support special education.
We have, as per the government, you don't understand, our subvention is the same as every other college of education. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. We can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you,
Hello?
sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Good. So, but we have some, funding agents like UNICEF, UNESCO that have been very supportive in so many areas. Even Test Fund. Test Fund has been, very, very supportive too. But as per federal government, we are treated equally like any other, federal college. But we have other funding agencies that, that have been very, very supportive. Hello?
Okay. Hello, sir. I thought that
Hello?
conference is there. Hello, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you. We can hear you.
So I said we
Thank
have other funding agencies that have been very, very supportive.
you. Okay. All right. So in that line, just like
Mm.
other institutions also have the same all these agencies to support them too. I don't know whether okay, but
Mm-hmm.
what do you call it? The basic education UBEC. Is there any way UBEC support teacher training
No, we
at
don't.
the
We are not benefiting from UBEC. No, we don't. We don't benefit from UBEC.
okay
We don't
because
benefit from UBEC.
because of
We
the
don't.
money mentioned. There's some mentioned yesterday. They said is for special educational institutions, both public and private. I don't know. There was time we
No,
wrote an
we are not included. We are not
I
included in
understand. I
that.
understand. Of course. I was just asking maybe there'll be any difference. Expectedly, you're not supposed to be included. So, special education institutions across Nigeria are
No, no.
mainly that they include are mainly those in that teach those in primary and secondary school. They teach them in some of the things they
Secondary
could learn
school.
in school.
Okay.
So I understand that you
Okay.
are not likely to be part of it. I was just asking, perhaps there
No.
is a unique sense in that one. They said they spent about 8 billion naira in the past 8 years to cater for special needs
Mm-mm.
education.
No. We are not part. Mm.
All right.
Mm.
I was saying
But
earlier that
let me give this information.
okay. Sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Let me give this information on the use of technology to assist the people with special needs, especially
Yes.
the people with visually impaired. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
We have a computer laboratory. We have a computer laboratory called ill accessibility for the people with visually impaired. With this, they can browse. They can do all sorts of things. They can do all sorts of things within the laboratory. Even we've gone to the
The challenge has come again.
extent of giving them,
Prof,
continuous assessment using CBT. That is
computer
but I
based.
can see Mrs. Banjo. Okay, it's only you that I can see Mrs. Banjo all the time. Okay.
Continue, sir. We could not hear some of the things you said. You said that you've been familiar with CBT tests. And sorry, Prof,
Network is a problem.
the network is really bad at Prof's end there. So,
That's mainly dedicated to the people and it is called e-accessibility. And there are so
And we'll come back to Prof later. He was saying something about e-accessibility, but the other things he's saying now we
That
can't
the kind of
see it.
assessment
Prof, sir, Prof, we'll come back to Prof later to address this issue of e-assessment and e-learning and for special needs education. So we'll come back to him later. Miss Akande, so, this the issue of discrimination against persons with special needs. How best can we address it? Whether
Like I
in schools and other places, not only schools, not only schools, in schools and other places generally.
generally, so I gave an idea some earlier that need a lot of we need a lot of awareness programs. So we need to partner with organizations that and fund awareness. We know is very expensive. Funding is one of the major setbacks helping us to create awareness. So we need to partner with, for instance, schools. Many of our children will benefit from inclusive education. How do we now include them in the schools? What kind of inclusion? What does the school have in place? There are various ways you can include people with disability. First, in the family, then in the school, then in the society, then in the community. So you need to find out the various places and do like an awareness program. Let me give you an example. A special needs child, visually impaired a person is going into a mainstream school. What the school needs to do is to call at the assembly, call somebody to come and talk about people uh, with visual impairment and how the typical children can support that individual in that environment. So you see, by training those children at a very young age, probably the child is maybe just about 3 years old. I mean, you go into their classroom and read a book about somebody with visual impairment and how their inputs, their lives can support that person with disability. And that person with disability can also support them. They can support them because what that means is that the children in that environment would have developed some form of empathy towards people with disability. When I was in secondary school, we had a visually impaired person in my school and in my dormitory. So what would happen is that Senior Anne, anytime we want to, after school, she will call on any one of us to say, come and read to me while I type my braille, or she will grab us and tell us to come and type the braille. So that was how I was able to learn the alphabet of the braille in secondary school. It gave me an ability to have empathy, to understand, I mean, put myself in the shoes of people with visual impairment and understand how we can support such individuals. I mean, it was happening in the past. I don't know about now if they are still being integrated into the mainstream school system. Another support system is in the community. I mentioned it. The first place of community is religious houses. We are all very religious, either you're a Christian or you're a Muslim. There's always a gathering. At that gathering, make the person with disability have an input. It could be that the person with disability will be the one, at the reading the Bible passage. So it gives the community a sense of there is a difference amongst us. I've been going to church many times. I've never seen anybody with visual impairment, hearing impairment, intellectual disability in my church. And I keep writing. I would say keep writing. I've written once or twice to say, oh, I'm available to give lectures in church about people with disability. I mean, the interest is just not there. And the truth of the matter is that unless you are deeply affected by disability, people don't see it. They see them every day, but they don't see it. So we really have to keep talking about it. We have to keep shouting about it. We have to talk about employing them in various places of companies, in the banks, everywhere. If you see them on a daily basis doing what you and I do, except begging on the street, there will be value in the lives of people with disability. Right now, they are not valued as individuals. They are valued as second-class citizens, and that is not right. That's the image we are trying to protect. The image we are trying to change. We are trying to see people with disability from a different side. they are contributors to our economy. Some of them are taxpayers. They pay taxes to the government. So why don't we just give them the opportunity to thrive? And we can't do that except we expose them. We open up ourselves to them. We open our system to them. We open our offices to them. We open our lives to them. So, and it's not by, like the prof said, it's not by treating them with, what do you call it, with some form of levity, but by having empathy. No, it's not really compassion. It's, oh, sorry, no. Have empathy. Help them when they need the help. Support them when they need the support. So they can, they themselves will have some sort of value in their lives. So that is where I feel that the community can come in.
All right. Confidence. We can't hear you. Speak, please.
I can hear you.
Your question.
I can hear you.
Your question.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So
In all of this,
before that, let's bring in Prof.
okay.
Prof help Prof to be able to conclude the statement the other time.
Okay.
Prof, sir. You're saying something.
I mean, you're the network in Oyo.
You understand?
Hello?
We understand. Just go ahead with your reaction, sir.
Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you.
I was saying that the technology is helping us to train our teachers very well to be able to meet the needs of these people with special needs. And we have a laboratory that is mainly dedicated to the people with blind. It is called e-accessibility. It was donated to us, by one of the funding agents. And we've got to the extent of giving them the continuous assessment as a computer-based, test. And they've been doing well for the last 2 years. And they are, enjoying it. And this will prepare them very well for what they, have to meet within the society when they graduate from our school. So that is what I was saying about technology and, the learning of the people with special needs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, thank you so much, Miss Banjo. Definitely due to network connection at the end. Anyway, coming back to the issue of inclusivity, I would just like to tell us now that across Nigeria we have around 1,107 schools that are dedicated to special needs education in Nigeria, and mainly they serve those in the primary and the secondary school education levels. So, and equally, we should also take note of this time that of these schools, of the schools in the country, we have 33,603 which are said to be inclusive according to the Universal Basic Education Commission (UBEC). Data from 2000 and last year, 2019, shows that across the country, they were able to find out that these are the schools that are able to accommodate persons living with disabilities in one way or another. And then there are various forms of disabilities that have already been mentioned earlier in terms of visual impairments, hearing impairments, physical and health impairments. So that means when somebody is sick, it's a disability somehow in one way or another. Intellectual disability, which Ms. Akande talked about earlier. We have the speech and language is also part of it, which Patrick Speech Center deals with. Things like autism, learning disabilities. Some people, when you teach them, they don't understand at once. So this and some other ones seen on the screen now are the ones that albinism is also a form of disability. So these are some of the disabilities that have been categorized according to the agencies in charge. Excuse me. Confidence, come back to ask a question.
Okay. We've been talking about what the government is doing and the technologies that have been able to include people with special needs in education. How about people who are financially distressed? Poor people who can afford um, being on Zoom, people who don't even have Android phone, they can't afford the provisions that have been made. Is there any hope for them? Is there anything they can do? Because these people are literally shut out of information. They can't access, even if for instance, during the lockdown, there was provision for school children. They were teaching them on television. And then I discovered that in some areas, the parents don't even have television. And those who do may not even have light, they do not have generator, and all these are also problems. So yes, they are working, they are putting things in place, but there are some persons, some set of people who still cannot access all of these provisions. What is the hope for them? Is there anything for them at all?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? I just asked my question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You see, this COVID has opened another chapter in the education of people with special needs. For instance, nobody anticipated this type of, difficulties as at January. So, and my college, one of our responsibility is to probably research into the needs of the people with special needs. So, by the grace of God, by the time we go back to school after the COVID-19, these are some of the areas we'll be able to probably identify and probably see the way if to go forward after this problem. For instance, in our school, within the school environment, our students have access to free internet, and some of them that do not have iPad and others still function very well with some of the facilities we have around. But outside the school, I'm just to say we cannot help. Outside the school, we cannot help. So these are some of the things we may probably find solution to when we go back to school. For instance, about 20% of our students are on scholarship, and the people sponsoring them are ready to give them anything to make their life comfortable. So we may also recommend that when they are sending somebody to school, you should give the person some of these ICT technology, ICT facilities that will help them to learn very well outside the school. Thank you very much.
Okay. So let me come in and say a little bit about that. So I know that the government has done radio for some of these individuals that don't have access to television. They've gone on radio. But when you say radio, how do you expect the person that is hearing impaired to listen to radio? So those are some of the things that the person will need a translator to be able to understand what is being said on the radio. And what about the child that has attention deficit that can't sit still? What about the child that has cerebral palsy that can't even understand, that needs the physiotherapist at every point in time to support his learning? So all these things need to be looked at and then find ways. For instance, during this pandemic in the developed countries, children with special needs were seen as a vulnerable group. So they didn't stop school for children with special needs when they stopped with everybody else. They were still going to school because they know that number one, the burden will be too much on the parents, and it will bother on mental health of those parents. So the children were going to school. The teachers were doing shifts, to come to school to teach these children with special needs. I mean, the government needs to look at that to support, these families. It's a lot of work, taking care of a child with intellectual disability. It's a lot of work because there's so much you have to put in. It's different from people that are even hearing impaired, that don't have any difficulties with their intellect. Their intellect is intact. They just can't hear. So it's difficult. They can learn one way or the other. The person that is visually impaired can learn. the person that is physically impaired, that does not have any intellectual disability attached to the physical disability, is still learning. But look at all those with intellectual disabilities and how this COVID has really affected them. Then before now, what we used to do was to go on radio. And what radio did when we're doing awareness programs for people that can't afford services, we have what we call our free therapy outreach that we do every quarter. I mean, so we'll go on radio in our native language. So I'm a Yoruba person. We speak Yoruba. We get the Igbo person around us to speak Igbo. We get the Hausa person to speak Hausa. And then we talk about the program. And if you see the barrage of inquiries and people that show up at our gate when we do those um, programs, you'll be shocked. Because what happens is that the person that is even at the radio is just somebody in the community. Then the person now takes it into the whole community of those that don't have radios and say, oh, I heard this, so this thing is coming up. I heard they are coming to do this. I heard this is about to happen. This is the phone number. Call them. But the challenge we have is that the minute those people hear that somebody wants to help with disability, everybody assumes that you want to give them medication. So once they come in, they're expecting that what kind of pill am I going to get that will make my child better? There is no magic. You have to tell them there's no magic pill. The work has to be done, and it's not immediate. It's gradual. It's over time. You need to be patient. You need to be kind. You need to be loving. You need to be expectant. So those trainings, you cannot erase it. You can't miss it. It's a link. Without that link, you cannot get to the expected end. So I think the best medium so far in my own area of since I started this work over about 18 years ago is radio. Radio is a place where every individual has radio, and neighbors and community embrace always helps with our taking this back to the person with disability.
Okay, I think I have to come back now. I have to come back. Sorry. Confidence. You don't have a new question yet. So reading the comments we have here, I can't see any question yet, but I can see that among our members of the audience is the Provost of the Federal College of Education Technical in Lagos. Sorry, Federal College of Education Technical, Akoka, rather. So he's here with us, Dr. Ademola Aziz. Thank you for joining us. He's commending his colleague at Oyo for his wonderful contribution here. And we also have some other comments in relation to some of the things that have been said. But away from all this, I would just like to ask about how can parents assist these children that are with these persons with not children, no matter the age, they're children anyway. How can parents assist persons with disability in learning during this period? From what Ms. Akande said, there is no provision unlike in in other parts of the world, what some people call senior science, where persons with disabilities have continued to learn. So how can parents in the case of or in this climate of ours in Nigeria or across Africa, I don't know of any country in Africa where persons with disabilities are on. I understand that some people are not in Nigeria that are watching us here. So how can parents assist in providing access to education during this period for persons with disabilities? So I want Mr. Akande to answer that, and after that we'll go to we'll go to Ms. Banjo. She will tell us her experience with that. So, Mr. Akande.
Okay, thank you. I've said a little bit about it earlier on. We need to train the parents. They need to be trained. So typically, and the best way to train them is to find out what their challenge is. When you know what the challenge is, you come in at every point. Leave an avenue open for discussion. So there's a support group, and in that support group, everybody has different experiences, different exposure. Be it somebody that is so-called specialist, or the parents. Parents are specialists in this area in their own right because they are the ones that live with the children 24/7. So be it the specialist, be it the parent, be it the sibling, be the person in the house that is helping. Everybody needs to be trained on how to manage this special person around them. And the best way to do it is through a question and answers. What are you seeing? What are your challenges? How can we come in? How can we help? Another thing we must not forget at this time is that we are all ostracized. We are all in our own homes, doing in our various places of um, in our different homes. So we don't have anybody that will come in to support. So we are the support for our children with special needs. This is the time when we need to really take care of ourselves. So there are days that it is okay for you not to do anything with that child. Just watch that child, observe, take a pen, take a piece of paper, and write down what you see. That way you would endear yourself towards that. Remember, the child with special needs, whether intellectual, physical, or mental, the child with special needs has a sensitive, and the environment where that child is coming out from matters a lot. So you need to have a conducive environment. For you to have a conducive environment, take care of yourself first as an individual. Be mentally ready to support that child with special needs. And then go everywhere. I mean, we have people all over the place talking about special needs now. It's much more than it used to be in the past. It's not enough, but it's much more than it used to be in the past. Listen to programs that has to do with people with special needs. Find out how other parents are coping. Find out if you have similar traits and how you can borrow from the things they've done in their own environment. So training, you can't leave it out. It's a link. They must know what to do. Once they know what to do, it becomes easier, it becomes a routine. There has to be a routine in the home environment. The child has to know that in the morning when she wakes or he or she wakes up, this is my routine for the day. If it's a child that cannot read, use visuals, put pictures of what you expect the child to do, and show it to that child. This is what I expect you to do, and this is how I want you to do it. If the child has a visual impairment, make it in such a way that you can use braille to let the child know his or her schedule for that day. It helps when they know what is coming next. When they know what is coming next. And after this, then we do this, then we do this, then that comes in. That comes with training. I keep saying it, you cannot leave out training. They must be trained on a regular basis. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Miss Banjo. So, how
Yes, sir.
yeah, thank you. In what ways, from your experience, how much support have you been getting in terms of your education during this period?
Can you come again?
How much support, in what ways have you been getting support in terms of your education during this period?
I can't hear you. The network.
I said,
No, no.
repeat now. Can you hear me now?
Okay, it's
Can you hear
breaking,
me?
but let me try and hear. Okay,
You
let's
okay?
go.
All right, okay. I said that in what ways have you been getting support in education wise during this period?
I had something about motivation or something like that.
Education. In what support?
Education.
Education support. Education support during the period.
Okay, education support.
Yes, during this period. In what ways have you been getting such?
Okay, during this period, did I receive
Yes,
any education support during this period?
yes, yes. But
Is is that the question?
yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, no, nothing of such, because since this COVID-19 has started
Okay.
and the lockdown has started, nothing like education support, nothing. They we thought they will provide e-learning for us and all that, but nothing except as individual, you have to go online, try and read one or two things up and read your notes your recorded notes and all that. Apart from that, there has not been any educational support.
Yes. Right. I understand. I
I hope
understand
I
that.
answered your question.
Oh, of course, of course. I understand that at the University of Lagos, learning has not commenced, unlike some other universities like LASU, Kaduna State University, Coal City University, Covenant, and a few other a
The
number of private universities across the country. Learning has continued online during this period. So,
the only thing
okay,
the
okay, you
school
want to say something?
okay.
Continue, continue.
Yes, the only school the okay, the only thing the school administration asked from us was just for us to tell them our prevention network usage, and we thought there was going to be okay. Maybe they'll be giving us data for us so that we can have online lectures and all that. But since then, nothing has happened
You
up to
mean
this
Unilag?
moment.
Are you talking about Unilag?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe they had the plan, and maybe the money has not been provided. I don't know. Thank you very much for that. So at least we know much about that. So I would like Professor Usman to talk about support. How can parents support their children with special needs during this period?
It can be very difficult because some of these parents do not even have idea of what to do. Just like Mrs. Akande put it, some of them are not, groomed in some of the needs of this, particular individual. So I think the best thing, like my college is planning a form of workshop or a certificate program for the parents of the people that are living with disability, so that in future, if we have this type of incident in their various wards, but for now many parents, I'm just sincerely, do not even know what it entails. Some of them are even hiding them,
Yeah.
not to talk of even helping, encourage everybody to come to school. Some of the parents with people with disabilities are still hiding them, not to talk of helping them to learn in school. So some of them are just ignorant of what to do. Just like Mr. Akande put it, some of them do not know anything about their behavior, their needs, and all the rest. So there is a need probably for the government itself to, wake up and probably help these people in terms of, training, and probably keep them with some of the needs that, that would be required of these people with special needs.
Yes.
For now,
Thank you.
I'm afraid.
Okay. Continue. You're still saying something.
Mhm, mhm.
For what?
No, I finished. I said
Oh,
the government needs to wake up and help these parents to, be educated on the needs of the, people living with disability.
yes, yes. Thank you so much for that. So we are now understand that.
Mm.
I'll just like I don't know whether you have more information to provide on the program you have for parents. You just hinted us of the program you have for parents. When is the program starting? I know that there is an admission process. There are some programs that you have started advertising to admit students for. So when is that program starting? This one.
Yes, there is an institution in Abuja already. It is called Royal Educational Therapy in Abuja. It's trying to
Okay.
form a form of a partnership with our college to be able to train Abuja parents in the area of the, assisting the people with special needs. So we have to start in June, but for this, COVID-19, I'm afraid I don't know when we are starting again, but we have to start by June, according to our, program. We have to start by June.
So
Mm.
sorry, does this mean that some parents have already registered?
With the institution in Abuja parents.
Okay, okay, okay. So, but in the case of
Mm,
the
mm,
college in Oyo,
mm,
is there any plan to
mm,
expand it to
mm.
places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Enugu, and maybe Kaduna and Sokoto and other parts of the country? Is there any such plans?
It's a new innovation. We are hopeful. Even we are these days, the JAMB is by computer-based examination. You understand? CBT. So we are trying to see the way, especially the blind. The blind cannot participate in the CBT. The JAM do organize a special arrangement for them. So our college has been commissioned by JAM to see the way to carry these people along with the CBT. And we are working on that because already as our students within our college are writing CBT. And that is what we reported. Every blind in Nigeria will be able to participate in CBT. So, it's a new innovation. We will see what we can do to carry other parents. If that of Abuja is very successful, we'll now see what we can do, especially with people like Mrs. Akande that I've recognized now. So we'll be able to see how to partner with these people, especially people that are dealing directly with the children that are living with disability. They will have more information to give to these parents and, to be able to carry them along. We are starting with Abuja. Let's see how it will go and, spread it across the federation.
Okay. And in terms of, I was talking about it earlier about what government is doing. I think that for for government to support special needs education, one of the things that it does, at least at the basic education level, where most of those people need the attention, is that it requires private operators to write proposal or something like that to submit to the special education units of the Universal Basic Education Commission in Abuja. So I think that's one of the things that determines those institutions that attract funding from government. But so far, we have attempted at least thrice last year through the FOI, Freedom of Information Act. We've attempted to at EduCeleb, we've attempted to write the UBEC to get information on how this money that they are talking about. The government said yesterday that it spent that some I mentioned earlier, some billions, so 8 billion naira, over 8 billion naira on special education support. So we have attempted to get a breakdown of how this money was spent, but so far we have not got any tangible response on that. But government claims and continues to claim that it spends money on special education. So we'll be ending the session shortly. But before we do that, I would just like you to give your closing remarks, starting off with Professor Usman. Your closing remarks, sir.
You see, I really want to thank the organizer of this program. Really, yes, that's what I'm saying. Really, the education of the people with special needs will never remain the same after this COVID-19. A lot of facts have been brought about by this particular, pandemic. For instance, anytime government is planning education, they should always remember to factor in the education of the people with special needs. That has not been taken care of in the past. And this has exposed the weakness that these people are not being properly catered for. And personally, I want the government to probably organize a form of workshop training for the people that are taking care of the people with special needs, especially the parents. And that is, the way I think we have to go so that we can take care of these people, even though they are so small in our community, but then they need to be taken care of because the national policy on education provides for everybody. Everybody must be educated. Education is a must for every Nigerian. So in this wise, after the COVID-19, I would advise the government to really fund the education of the people with special needs, not this type of giving, just awarding figures to, naira in the name of education of the people with special needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. So I'll go to, I don't know whether Miss Banjo, let me bring in Miss Banjo before I come back to Madam. Miss Banjo, what would you like to say before we end the program? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Remove the earpiece. We can't hear you at all. Just unplug the earpiece and speak. We should be able to hear you clearer there. All right, speak. There is a problem with the audio at your end. You can hear. You can obviously you can hear me, but I can't. I can't hear you. I don't know whether others can. I can't hear you at all.
Can hear her.
You're okay. Better now. Better now.
No,
Speak
no,
on.
no,
Better now.
no.
Speak
I'm not
now.
hearing her.
Speak now. Okay. The problem still persists. The problem still persists. Perhaps we appreciate you for joining us. We still can't hear you. So, Mr. Akande, maybe after Mr. Akande is through, maybe your audio will be better then. Mr. Akande, can you give us your closing remarks now?
Thank you, Mr. Mao, for this wonderful opportunity, to share um, my views on this COVID-19. There has been pluses and minuses from this COVID-19 incident. One of the pluses is that it's brought families together. I mean, there are times that people with children with disability who can afford a lot of services don't even see their child with special needs or with disability. They are off to work in the morning. By the time they come back, the child is sleeping. So there's no interaction. This has brought family interaction amongst the children and the parents. But on the part of the government, I say it again and again, this has shown the lapses and the lapses in special education. When there was a conference in Lagos State about people living with about schools, the effect of the school closure on children and adults. There was no mention of people with disability. There was no mention of the fact that there are children at home, that their parents are struggling to cope, to manage them in the home environment. And this, must change. They must look at a holistic approach. These are children as well, and these are adults as well. They are struggling. And a lot of them are the responsibilities of the government. I'm sure many of their parents pay taxes. Even those that don't pay taxes, they pay something when they go to the market to sell their wares. They pay their shop space. They pay for ground rent. So these people are a member of our community. We must not push them aside. We must not pull them aside. We must look at them from the eyes of empathy, the eyes of kindness, the eyes of compassion. So it's important that we try as much as possible to support their education. On a particular network that I was, they were talking about, the closure of the school will leave a lot of children left behind. Our children have been left behind for years, and we've been screaming about it. These children are left behind. Don't leave them behind. We struggle every day to bring them up, to keep them up to fall. So on that platform, I made a mention that the goal is shifting. Even some parents know how to manage their social needs children better than the mainstream children that are at home, the typical children at home, because the parents are at loss as to what to do. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my views in this time. It's an expensive time. Many of our parents that's come to our center, at least we have about almost 35% of our parents don't pay to come to our center. Many of them right now are even struggling for their 3 square meals. And those that can even pay, some of them said, I can't come on, I can't afford it. I don't even know where my job is going to come from next, because, they don't know if they're going to have to be laid off at their work to stay at home. It's an expensive venture. The government needs to come in. The private sector needs to come in. The banks, companies, the telcos, come in, give these people data, give them iPads, give them computers that they can use in their home environment. Treat them as human beings. It makes a lot of difference and a lot of sense. And I thank you very much, Mr. Mao, for allowing me, and your team, and your amiable team, for bringing this to the fore. God bless you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Miss Banjo, you were saying something earlier.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, as I was saying that the COVID-19 has brought it has exposed our deficiency in the education sector pertaining PWDs, and also I would like the government and private investors to look into it, because we as visually impaired people, we need good infrastructure, good infrastructure, because there are some people on wheelchair who are in my class that sometimes we find it difficult. Some guys find it difficult to assist them because the class is up there, so they have to carry them up and down through the stairs and all that. It has not been easy for them. So if the government puts in the right structure for PWDs, and if not free but subsidized, let them give subsidized gadgets, their laptops, their tape recorders, their good phones for them to be able to use. If they can't give it free, let them subsidize it so that things will be better and easy for PWD in general. Thank you so much.
Mm. Thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate each and every one of you for your wonderful contributions through the other process. If you are just joining us or you missed the introduction earlier, we've been speaking since the past almost 1.5 hours. We've been speaking with Professor Usman of the Federal College of Education Special Oyo, Mrs. Akande of the Patrick Speech and Languages Center in Lagos, and we've also been joined by Ms. Yetunde Banjo, a student at the University of Lagos. She's studying early childhood education at that university. And we appreciate everyone that has been part of this and everyone that would later on watch what we did now. We appreciate everyone for your participation in this, and we hope that some of the deliberations that we have made here would assist special education today and in the future. Thank you very much. I've been your host, and my colleague has left. My colleague is Confidence Egodere. I am Abdul Salam Amo. I've been the host for the program, and we hope to see you some other time. Perhaps on Wednesday, we'll be having another broadcast from LASU. LASU, an official of LASU, will be talking about their e-learning program, and on Saturday, we'll be talking about STEM education, how we can rejig STEM education for the post-COVID era. God willing, it will be 2 p.m. the same time on Wednesday and next Saturday. So thank you so much for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.